This video is intended for viewers aged 13 and up. If you are not 13 yet, please leave. Ah! Yo, dude, what's wrong? What's going on, dude? I'm not ready for Disney on Earth. I'm practically a Neo Saban show. Dude, what are you talking about? You know Evox, right? Yeah? Well, it turns out he was Venjix all along from Power Rangers RPM, and we are screwed. Oh, damn, you're right. You are screwed, but fine, I guess I wish you luck. Here, have this gun or something. I don't know. Like, man, you're screwed, dude. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Figure Review. This week we are heading into a new toy line for this series, though I have had it in size comparisons before. This week we are doing our first look at the Power Rangers Lightning Collection series with the Lightning Collection Beast Morphers Red Ranger, aka Go Busters Red, if you like to think of it that way. Which, whatever. Yeah. Now, you don't know how happy I was when Hasbro announced that their first Power Rangers series would be an adaptation of the Go Busters Super Sentai series, because out of all of the recent aesthetics and costume designs and whatever that Super Sentai's been going through, this one's my favorite. Because it's just so very different from everything else. Because, like, you always got your spandex superheroes, you know, fighting around, dealing with bad guys. But the leathery feel of these suits gives it a very different aesthetic compared to literally everything else on the Power Rangers market, you know? Like, holy crud, dude. And this figure is able to pull it off masterfully, because the painting and the sculpting on the figure is pretty dang good. Like, this is a line that uses a lot of heavy retooling. And that's just because Power Ranger suits are very similar, you know? Of course, they'll have like one or two molds that they go all out on. Like, with Wave 1, it was like Zed, probably. Because he's just like, he's like a muscly dude and not like a dude in a suit, you know? So they're able to go all out with that. And I feel like for this wave, the wave that he came in, it was him and Nate? Is his name Nate? I don't know. The Gold Ranger. The Gold Ranger, because these are unique sculpts specifically made for the Go Buster aesthetic. And like, for other costumes, you would think like the legs at least would be the same, you know? Like, yeah, they would have different printing, but there would be pretty similar elements between them all. But this one, the way it's sculpted and the texture that it has is just completely different from anything else in the toy line, you know? Starting off at the head, this is a great representation of that Go Bustery Beast Morphers helmet aesthetic with the glasses and the nice silver faceplate and the eyes that kind of look like headlights as well. And all the paint is top-notch. It's all there really nicely, though I do have a couple of qualms because there are little areas there that should be fully black, but sadly they skimped out on the paint a little bit and it kind of bleeds through a little bit of the red, which is a bit annoying, but otherwise I can live with it. But yeah, I've been pretty happy with the helmet sculpts of the figures that I've gotten so far in the toy line, and this one has not disappointed me. You know? Yeah. The body sculpt adds to the kind of leathery jacket look by adding a couple more wrinkles than would be on like a spandex suit. Because a spandex suit, for a lot of these costumes, is going to be like skin tight, though there are a couple of wrinkles. I feel like that, as well as the kind of smoother texture, if that makes sense, kind of adds to the idea that this is like a leather jacket, at least for the body, you know? Like the specific texturing that it has, and also the silver paint that's throughout the body sculpt is done very well. I'm very happy with it. One of the more annoying bits is the way they did this. Like, it's not sculpted on so they can have a specific joint, which I'll talk about, but they made it kind of rubbery, but it's also a lot more loose than I would like, you know, kind of wibbles and wobbles around, and I am not super into that. The arms are arms, but the leather jacket aesthetic is added to when you look down here at the lower arms and you see the wrinklage of the leather jacket, I guess, or faux leather. I mean, it isn't leather on here, it's like it's plastic, but that kind of adds to the aesthetic that it's a jacket rather than like just straight spandex. And I feel like one of the most important things to get right, if it'll focus properly, is the morpher. You know, especially with the Go Busters one, which I think looks really nice, you've got to get it right, and it's painted and sculpted beautifully on this figure. It's just so much small detail that you wouldn't expect from Hasbro, but it's just there, you know? I mean, yeah, I'm sure figure arts would do better. I'm pretty sure there are figure arts of these guys, but I'm sure figure arts would do better, but I don't know. I feel like it's worth it for the price. Moving on to the legs, I feel like there's a similar texturing thing as with the arms, you know? Because like it kind of feels like leather, but there are also these little etchings that aren't in other legs for this line, you know? That just add to the kind of like, this is like clothes and not a Power Rangers costume aesthetic of the suit. And we get to the boots, similar kind of thing. It kind of looks like kind of like a faux leather once again, and I really like how that's done. And then the feet have some really nice sculpting done on them as well. One of the few discrepancies I do have is that the upper boot, since it's painted on, it does look different than the lower boot. At least I believe it's painted on. I'm pretty sure this is a black base with the red painted, but yeah. So yeah, I feel like this is just a really well done rendition of this costume, though part of this is very much my bias for the visual aesthetic for the Go Busters series. And hey, you can just say it's Go Busters since they didn't omit any of the GB on it, just saying it's Grid Battle Force branding, which, very smart use of that, Hasbro. You could have just ignored it and just been like, oh yeah, they just say GB or whatever. But yeah, I feel like that's good that it's there, so that you can just say, oh yeah, this is just Grid Battle Force or whatever. However, one of the many accessories, which we are about to get into, very much makes this distinctly Power Rangers Beast Morphers, and that is the swappable head. All of the main Rangers that come in this toy line come with some sort of swappable civilian head. This is obviously his head. I don't know his name because I don't watch the show much, but I feel like it's very well done. It looks very realistic. I feel like it looks like a decent amount, though there probably are some discrepancies that someone who actually watches the show would be able to point out to me. But yeah, as with a lot of their photoreal tech, Hasbro's been doing a very good job in getting realistic looking faces out the door. You know? If that makes sense. But yeah, and to swap the head out, you just pop off the head, which is on a Marvel Legends style ball hinge joint, and then you pop on the civilian head. I think that's alright, it might be a bit off, but yeah. Now you can have some cool unmasked moments with the specific Ranger, if that's what you're into, though I'm more into masked shots, personally. He also comes with multiple different hands. First off, he comes with a pair of fists, which should be standard on a Power Ranger or Sentai style figure, since they do a lot of punching, you know? And though these aren't a pair, they look similar enough for me to put them on at the same time. He has, for the right hand, a grasping slash trigger finger hand, and for this hand he has a action open hand. And for those, we can get into the figure's weapon accessories. He comes with two, as well as two weapons and one effect part. So starting off, he has the Go Buster slash Beast Morphers sword, which I feel, once again, is very nicely painted and very nicely sculpted. I really like what Hasbro did with this weapon. And to put it in, I typically like to have it downward like this. You just slide it into the hand, like so, and boom, he's holding it. And the effects part is made specifically for this. So what you want to do, there's a little hole on here, and before we put it on, I want to talk about the aesthetic. I really like how it's done. It's kind of like a digital kind of look, which kind of works for what they're going for, I guess, with this being like a very techy team as they're going up against Evox. I mean, spoilers. Actually, Venjix. That's really cool. I really like that. But yeah, you just slide it on, and it makes it look like he's having it teleported into him. You know, like, Nate, give me my sword. Thanks, dude. And then he also comes with the Cheetah Blaster, which I think is an original creation of Beast Morphers. But I don't know, it fits in decently well enough. I wish it did have a bit more paint, but what is there is really nicely done. Like, the little eye is done very nicely on each side. And I like that it's not just like one side's painted and one side just has nothing. That's really nice, in my opinion. And to put it into his hand, you just, once again, slide it into the hand, and boom, he has his Cheetah Blaster Cannon, which if you want, you can have him hold with the other hand in some nice, cool blasting poses that could be like, goodbye, monster. Oh no! You know? Kind of like that. Which I think is really well done. I wish that, like, this one had, like, a circle base so that you could be, like, so that you could attach it to the cheetah mouth, you know? But sadly it doesn't. I wish it was I do wish it was a bit more multi-purpose. I'm sure you could fit other blast effect based accessories from this toy line onto there, but I don't know. Just let me know if there is. But yeah. But how are you gonna use those accessories well if you can't get them into cool action poses? Which I feel like this is the place where the Power Rangers Lightning Collection excels over all of Hasbro's other lines, making it one of my favorites. The articulation. Starting off the head, it's your typical Marvel Legends Star Wars Black Series hinge-based ball joint. So at the top there's a ball joint, which allows it to swivel 360 and allows it to do other ball jointy things, so the tilt is limited by the sculpt of the helmet. However, there's a hinge that allows him to look up that far and down that far. Yeah. Moving on to the arms, each arm is connected with the torso through a butterfly joint, which allows it to go forward and back on the body, like so. He also comes with a typically styled shoulder joint from a Marvel Legends, where it has a full 360 swivel and has a hinge that allows it to go out that far. He also has a bicep swivel, as is standard on most, if not all, Marvel Legends style figures. He has a double-jointed elbow, which allows for a heck of a lot of posability if you can get it to work right, you know? Let's see if the other one works a bit better. Yeah, okay. So yeah, there we go. It allows for a nice full bend of each arm. And for now, I'm just going to focus on this hand for hand posability, since they all have the same posability. They have a swivel at the wrist, as well as a hinge that allows it to go forward and back, like so. The torso articulation is just a heck of a lot. You have a ball joint at the top, which allows it to do a heck of a lot torso-wise, as well as a hinge here that allows it to arc back that far, arc forward that far, and with the ball joint he's able to do teapot poses, which is hella crazy. I wish that, like, more Marvel Legends and Star Wars figures implemented this articulation style. Like, holy crap. The legs are pretty similar to stock standard Marvel Legends, where there's a ball joint here, which allows it to go forward that far, back not super far since they sculpt butts, and allows for a pretty decent splits, though it is limited by the sculpting of the torso, but I'm not angry about that because I like the accuracy of the kind of jackety cutoff there. The legs also have a thigh swivel as is stock standard. A nice double-jointed knee that allows him to kick his own butt. And what isn't stock standard, boot cut, which allows his boot to swivel around, which acts in place of a foot swivel, which is kind of needed since Marvel Legends don't come with feet swivels. Finally, moving on to the feet, you have a tight forward and back joint, which is a very tight faux ratchet, I think, as well as a ankle pivot, which allows for some nice dynamic poses. This articulation is crazy, especially for a Hasbro-based product. Like, holy crap. Like, we get a decent amount of articulation in their collector-based stuff, but not this much. And from what I can tell, G.I. Joe is trying to have a very similar standard of articulation, which makes me very interested in picking those figures up. However, I feel like this will still be one of my more favorite, since I actually have nostalgia for Power Rangers, and I don't really have much nostalgia for G.I. Joe personally, you know? Sadly, no ruler shot today. I once again lost it, but if I'm not mistaken, he's a little over 6 and a bit inches tall, as is most Marvel Legends style stuff. And to compare him, here we have Leader Class Siege Shockwave, Power of the Prime's Hot Rod, the Star Wars Black Series Sith Trooper, the Gundam Universe RX-78-2 Gundam, Series 38 Voyager Class Optimus Prime, the Marvel Legends Infinity War Iron Spider, last week's review, the Voyager Class Earthrise Grapple, the Amazing Yamaguchi Iron Man, and finally, some more Lightning Collection figures to compare him to, the Lightning Collection Magna Guardian and the Lightning Collection Doggy Kruger SPD Shadow Ranger. So yeah, I feel overall, this is probably my favorite Lightning Collection figure that I own so far. I'm not one for being too crazy nostalgic for stuff, so since the Go Busters costume aesthetic is my favorite, this has to be definitely one of my favorite suits, and since the suit was so accurately depicted in this figure form, I have to say this is just one of my favorite figures in this amazing toy line Hasbro's put out. But yeah, what do you think of this figure? Let me know in the comments below. I definitely recommend picking it up if you can find him. I'm sure he's on online retailers. You know, you can easily order him. But yeah, definitely try picking up this figure, and also, don't forget to do the funny YouTube things, liking, commenting, subscribing, you know, I'm begging you, whatever. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy this video. And yeah, I'll see you all next time for the next figure review, which I don't know what it'll be. Stop asking me. Stop asking me!